Hello, and welcome to our journey through time. Today, we're about to step into a world that existed more than 2 centuries ago. A world filled with splendor, struggle, and stories that would shape the course of history. Our destination? The enchanting and complex land of France in the late 1700s. Picture yourself in a time before electricity, before cars, before the modern world as we know it. France was a patchwork of rolling hills, dense forests and winding rivers, dotted with villages and grand cities. The air was filled with the sounds of horse-drawn carriages, church bells, and the chatter of market stalls. Imagine a land of magnificent palaces, grand cathedrals, and bustling cities. Paris, the heart of France, was alive with artists, thinkers, and revolutionaries. The streets were lined with ornate buildings, and the river Seine sparkled under the sun. Yet beyond the city, the countryside held its own magic. Fields of golden wheat, vineyards stretching to the horizon, and small villages where life moved at a slower pace. This was France, a powerful kingdom with a king at its helm. The king and his court lived in unimaginable luxury, surrounded by art, music, and endless feasts. But France was a land of contrasts. While the nobility enjoyed every comfort, most people lived very different lives. On one hand, there was immense beauty and grandeur. Think of sprawling vineyards, charming villages, and the glittering court of the king. The gardens of Versailles were a wonder to behold, and the countryside was alive with the rhythms of the seasons, harvests, festivals, and celebrations that brought people together. On the other hand, life wasn't so rosy for everyone. For most people in France, daily existence was a constant struggle. The majority were peasants, working the land from dawn till dusk, hoping for a good harvest to feed their families. Markets were lively, but money was scarce, and hunger was a familiar companion. They were farmers, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers, working hard to make ends meet. Every member of the family had a role to play, from the youngest child to the eldest grandparent. Their hands were calloused, their backs bent from labor, but their spirits were strong and their communities close-knit. Unlike the luxurious lives of the nobility, these ordinary people struggled to put food on the table. Meals were simple, often just bread, cheese, and whatever vegetables could be grown or traded. Homes were small and drafty, and winters could be harsh. Yet, even in hardship, families found ways to share laughter and hope. Little did they know, a storm was brewing, a storm that would change France forever. Discontent was growing, whispers of change echoed through the villages and cities. The world as they knew it was about to be turned upside down, and the story of France was about to enter its most dramatic chapter yet. In 18th century France, society was sharply divided into 3 distinct groups, known as the estates. This division shaped every aspect of life, from wealth and privilege to power and opportunity. To truly understand the tensions that led to the French Revolution, we need to look closely at how these estates worked and how unfairly they treated most people. Picture a pyramid, with each layer representing a different class. At the very top sat the first estate, the clergy. These were the men and women who devoted their lives to the church, praying for the souls of the nation and guiding spiritual life. The clergy lived in grand cathedrals and opulent church residences, surrounded by art and gold. Despite their wealth, they paid almost no taxes, enjoying special privileges granted by the king. Their influence reached deep into politics and education, making them powerful beyond their numbers. Just below the clergy was the second estate, the nobility. These were the aristocrats, the lords and ladies who claimed their status by birth. Traditionally, they were expected to defend the kingdom and serve as military leaders, though by the 1700s, many lived lives of luxury rather than battle. The nobles owned vast estates and magnificent chateaux, often inherited through generations. They enjoyed countless privileges, from hunting rights to special legal protections, and were largely exempt from paying taxes. Their wealth allowed them to influence the king and shape government decisions. Life for the nobility was a whirlwind of grand balls, elaborate banquets, and endless leisure. They dressed in the finest silks, attended the royal court, and rarely worried about the struggles of ordinary people. Their world was one of elegance and excess. But at the base of the pyramid, making up nearly 98% of the population, was the third estate. This group included everyone else, from wealthy merchants and skilled artisans to poor farmers and laborers. They were the backbone of France, working the land, running businesses, and keeping society moving. The third estate was incredibly diverse. Some were educated professionals, doctors, lawyers, and teachers, while others were shopkeepers, craftsmen, or peasants toiling in the fields. Despite their differences, they all shared one thing: a lack of privilege and a heavy burden of taxes. The Third Estate paid nearly all the taxes that supported the kingdom, yet had almost no say in how the country was run. They faced rising food prices, harsh working conditions, and little hope for change. This deep sense of injustice would soon spark a revolution that would change France forever. Life for the Third Estate was tough. They bore the brunt of taxes, while the privileged First and Second Estates lived comfortably, exempt from most taxes. Imagine working hard all day, only to see most of your earnings going towards taxes. Add to this the problem of bad harvests and rising food prices. People were hungry, and they were angry. They felt that the king, Louis XVI, was out of touch with their problems. Whispers of discontent began to spread. People started questioning the absolute power of the king. Why should the First and Second Estates enjoy privileges while the Third Estate struggled? The seeds of revolution were sown. The anger and frustration of the Third Estate reached a boiling point. On July 14, 1789, they stormed the Bastille, a mighty fortress that represented the king's authority. It was a day that would forever be etched in history books. The French Revolution had begun. The storming of the Bastille was a symbolic victory, a powerful message against the king's absolute rule. It marked the beginning of a new era, an era where the people demanded liberty, equality, and fraternity. The French Revolution was a time of extraordinary upheaval, a period when the very foundations of society were shaken. The revolution brought about significant changes, not just for France, but for the world. Ordinary people, long oppressed by the monarchy and the rigid social hierarchy, suddenly found themselves at the center of history, demanding liberty, equality, and fraternity. The National Assembly, formed by representatives of the Third Estate, was a bold new voice for the people. In 1789, they adopted the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, a document that would become a cornerstone of modern democracy. This declaration proclaimed that all men are born free and equal in rights, challenging centuries of tradition and privilege. It called for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the protection of property, ideas that would inspire generations to come. For many, it was a moment of hope and celebration. The dream of a just and fair society seemed within reach, as citizens from all walks of life joined together to demand their rights. But the revolution was not without its costs. The monarchy, which had ruled France for centuries, was abolished. King Louis XVI and his queen Marie Antoinette were executed, their deaths marking the end of an era and the beginning of a new uncertain chapter. With the fall of the monarchy, France declared itself a republic in 1792. The tricolour flag became a symbol of national pride, and for a brief moment, it seemed as if the ideals of the revolution might truly be realized. However, the revolution also took a dark turn. The initial hope and optimism gave way to suspicion, fear, and violence as the struggle for power intensified. The Reign of Terror saw the rise of Maximilien Robespierre, a radical leader who believed that the revolution could only survive by silencing its enemies. Under his leadership, the Committee of Public Safety unleashed a wave of terror, targeting anyone suspected of opposing the revolution. Thousands of people, nobles, clergy, and even former revolutionaries were sent to the guillotine. The city of Paris became a place of constant fear, where accusations could mean a death sentence. The streets of Paris ran red with blood, a stark reminder of the violence that can accompany revolution. The hopes of a better future were shadowed by the terror of the present, as France struggled to find its way through one of the most turbulent times in its history. The French Revolution was a complex tapestry woven with the actions of many individuals. King Louis XVI, indecisive and out of touch with his people, became a symbol of the old order. His queen, Marie Antoinette, known for her lavish lifestyle, faced the wrath of the people. Then there was Maximilien Robespierre, a key figure during the Reign of Terror, who believed in achieving revolutionary goals through any means necessary. But the revolution wasn't just about powerful figures. It was fueled by the ideas of Enlightenment thinkers like Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who wrote about the social contract and the importance of individual freedom. The French Revolution, despite its tumultuous nature, brought about significant changes. France was no longer ruled by an absolute monarch, but became a republic, embracing the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The revolution's impact wasn't confined to France's borders. It sent shockwaves across Europe and beyond, inspiring people to question the authority of their own rulers and demand more rights and freedoms. The ideas that had fueled the revolution, such as popular sovereignty and individual rights, began to resonate across continents. The French Revolution became a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of people to rise up and demand change. The French Revolution, though a thing of the past, continues to resonate in the present. It reminds us of the importance of liberty, equality, and fraternity. It teaches us that power should reside with the people, not with a select few. Even today, the echoes of the revolution can be heard in movements fighting for justice and equality. The French Revolution serves as a powerful reminder that change is possible, that even the most deeply entrenched systems can be challenged and transformed. The values it championed, liberty, equality, fraternity, remain as relevant as ever, inspiring generations to strive for a more just and equitable world. As we conclude our journey through the French Revolution, let's remember its significance. It was a time of great upheaval, but also one of immense hope and transformation. The revolution reminds us that the fight for freedom and equality is an ongoing one. Even today, centuries later, the French Revolution serves as a beacon, reminding us that the power to create change rests with the people. Let us learn from the past and strive to build a future where the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity are not just lofty ideals, but a living reality for all.